welcome back to Crimson Glass on YouTube. It is day 2 of Camp NaNoWriMo. It's about, my watch on, it's about 4:07 here. I've actually just finished about 40 minutes of writing, maybe a little less, maybe about 35 minutes. I started when my workday was over. I wrote yesterday. I wrote about 2,996 words, which is good. It's a little bit over the goal I needed for yesterday to make my 75,000 by the end of the month. But my idea is to, if I finish a chapter a day, I will be at 29 chapters on April 30th, which should be towards the end of the book, if not just at the end of the book. So we'll see where we are. So last night I wrote the prologue, and then today I started chapter 1. I just finished the first scene in chapter 1. There's 5 or 6 scenes off the top. The first scene is Bobby and Elizabeth having breakfast at Kelly, just kind of setting up a couple of storylines. I was pretty happy with how the first prologue, the prologue came. I was actually really, really happy because I wrote in 25-minute sprints and I only needed 3 of them. So I started writing around 5:30. I was done writing for the night by 7:30, which is great. It let me relax a little bit. I was surprised by how easy some of it felt. I'm sure it's not always going to feel easy, but if day 1 feels good, then it's a lot easier to kind of convince yourself you're in the groove. Day 2, that first scene, it felt stilted a little bit in a couple of places, and just because I think that so I'm trying to set up a lot of things at once, and it's always hard when you're just kind of getting back into the voices of the characters, and it was easier in the prologue because it was a very happy prologue. It was just generally reacquainting myself with the characters, getting people married. Everybody was really happy. And then we're sliding into the real brunt of the story because in chapter 1 is like the first of several inciting incidents. So, because a soap opera story needs a lot going on. It's very hard. In an ensemble story, you have a lot. Carly shows up, and the Sunny and Carly stuff is actually going to be a bigger part of the story than I anticipated, and I realized it's because I can actually get it to influence the Jason and Elizabeth stuff. So that's always good. If you can have one thing doing 8 things, that actually pushes the story. And then the characters all feel more connected. So if what Carly has going on is affecting the Jason and Elizabeth stuff, it's also going to affect Jack's next Ned and Alexis. It's all going to do that. And then it's ultimately going to play into Rick's stuff. So I struggled to figure out what to do with her. And now she's becoming more of a solid character for me. So that's been good. Just setting up basically Elizabeth's storyline with her health and the pregnancy and the way it's going. So far, so good. It's a lot of like this the first week of Camp NaNoWriMo can either be really good or it can be really bad. Really good is hard to, you never know until like the second week how things are going, because a lot of times what will happen is you'll get a sense of false confidence. When I was writing Counting Stars about 2 years ago for November NaNoWriMo, what happened was I had a good first couple of days and then the story just kind of didn't feel right, and they ended up mostly abandoning that story. And then in last November, Broken Girl had the same thing happen. Broken Girl, I got 8 chapters in and like the first it just wasn't working, and usually about 5 or 6 chapters in, you can feel when it's not working. So that's what I talk about, false confidence. So like on Sunday, when I get to chapter 5, I'll kind of start to feel like whether or not this is actually working. And so if the first 5 days go well, that's great, but the second week needs to go well. When I think about that, I think about book 1 and 2 of Mad World, and the first week of July, Camp NaNoWriMo went great. I wrote 21,000 words my first week. That's how you know it's going well. But if it's like a struggle to get to the first 5 chapters and I'm just like the words feel forced, that's when you can start to feel it. I had a moment early in the scene where Bobby and Elizabeth were trying to catch up on something, and like was trying to establish a timeline and it felt like really stilted. And then once I kind of hit on a particular topic of conversation, I don't want to get into it at the moment because it's spoilers and that's not what I want to get into here. But that's what you cut. It's hard. You have to keep writing past the stilts and hope that the stuttering and the struggle starts to smooth itself out. Because I always go back and refine my early chapters because it does kind of sometimes take a minute. And if you get lucky, you figure out how to go over and move past all of that. And then you go back and you fix it. Broken Girl is going to have a couple of places where it needs to be fixed, because by the time you get to the end of the story, you've done things with the characters you hadn't anticipated, or you've thought of a different way to do something, so you have to go back and fix. So like, I'm not that mad that the first 4 or 5 paragraphs don't feel quite there, because it's a first draft, and I have really tried really hard not to let myself get caught up in those kind of details, because if you stop and you're always trying to perfect every single paragraph, every single line, you'll never finish. The story is never going to be perfect, and you got to figure out how to be comfortable with that. And that's something I'm really, really trying to do. So day 2, I'm about halfway through. It's 4 o'clock now. I'm going to actually go down, do the dishes, get some dinner, take a little break from my computer, because I have been up since 7 a.m. doing grades and filming for digital content and getting ready for my classes tomorrow. It's the first day of the marking period tomorrow. I have my Spanish classes tomorrow, which I'm finishing up ELA, switching over to Spanish, so my brain has been kind of all over the place with that. So I thought, well, let me do some writing right now. Let me get 25 minutes in, let me get 30 minutes in. And then when I come back tonight, I won't feel like I'm just starting, and my work, like, this is about when I would stop my work day, and I didn't quite have enough work planned for 4 o'clock. I mean, I always have more work, but like, I'm only contracted till 3:08. So you have to, at 3:08, it's okay if I stop working. So I stopped working at 3:08 and started writing. And I think I'm gonna try and do that a couple of times, at least until I'm on spring break, until I really feel like the story is clicking along. And once the story is clicking along, and once my new classes are settled in, I will be able to figure out a better writing schedule. Because I don't really like to break in the middle of writing sessions. I actually do like to kind of just get started and then just write. Like, I can, on Saturday, I wrote for 4 hours straight. And like, I can do that, and I prefer to write for 2 to 3 hours. But right now, getting the schedule working with what's going on with school and what's going on in the world, and just, it's easier for me to split it now and treat the first session like part of my workday. Because I also do very much need time away from my desk, because I've been at my desk since 7 a.m. I've been grading, I've been replying to emails, I've been just doing teaching stuff that is what teaching looks like in remote learning. It's a lot of time at my desk. And I do want to go sit down and watch the episode of One Day at a Time that came on last night. Nailed It's on Netflix. Like, I want to be able to do that. And I don't want to be doing that at 10 o'clock at night. So I've got to figure out a balance, because it's very important for me to have a balance. So this is a little longer than I intend most of these little things to be. It's just, I'm kind of making my way through the whole process. We'll see. I will see you guys for day 3 tomorrow, and I'll let you know how the rest of the night went. Bye.